Welcome to Smart with Screens. I'm Schnelle. For 14 years, I built digital marketing campaigns for major brands. Disney, Netflix, Amazon, Procter& Gamble, you name it. My job was to get you to click, scroll, and to engage. Now I teach families and schools across New York City how these systems actually work. The algorithms, the psychology, the tricks, so that you can make informed decisions about technology. This is Smart with Screens. Let's get into it. So last week I was sitting across from this teen council in Brooklyn. They are bright kids who were evaluating whether my digital literacy workshops were right for their program. And I'm feeling confident, right? I've got 14 years of digital marketing experience. I've presented to schools and libraries. I know my stuff. Then this young man, let's call him Marcus, asked me a question that completely threw me off my game. Do you agree with Governor Hochul's phone ban in schools? And I froze. Not because I didn't have an answer, but because I had two answers fighting in my head. Here's what was happening in my head at that moment. My mama heart was screaming, yes, ban the phones. I see what they're doing to kids. I see what they're doing to their attention, their mental health, their ability to just be without documenting everything. But my educator mind, the part of me that teaches digital literacy, the part that believes in empowerment over restriction, was saying, wait, are we solving the right problem here? Are we teaching kids to manage technology, or are we just removing it and hoping for the best? And I had to make a choice in real time in front of these kids who were watching to see if I was going to be real with them or give them some kind of sanitized answer. And I told him the truth. Yes, I did agree with the ban. But then he hit me with the follow-up. He said, well, what are the good kids? You know, the ones with the amazing grades. He was talking about himself, by the way, because he was an honor roll student. Got to have their phones, and the ones with the terrible grades didn't. And I want you to understand why this question is so smart, because it exposes something that we don't talk about enough. He was essentially asking, is this about phones being bad, or is it about not trusting us? Because think about it. If phones are genuinely harmful to learning and development, then they are harmful to everyone, regardless of grades. The good kids don't have some magic immunity to distraction or even algorithm manipulation like we talked about in the last episode. But what if we're willing to say, well, good students can handle it? Then we're admitting that this isn't actually about the technology, it's about control and trust. And here's where it gets even more complicated. His question also touched on something I've known from my PTA days. The way we often punish entire groups for the behavior of some. The way fair sometimes means everyone loses something because we can't figure out how to address the individual situations. I told him that we had to keep it fair across the board, that different rules for different students based on grades would create more problems than it solved. But honestly, he had a point I was still thinking about. And then he hit me with the doozy. He asked me if I believed that phones would promote socialization through gaming and connecting with friends. And I hesitated again because he's not entirely wrong. For some kids, especially kids who struggle with face-to-face interaction, online spaces are where they build community. They have Discord servers, group chats, they do the gaming together. These are legitimate social spaces. I gave him what I thought was the right answer. There are plenty of ways to socialize outside of phones. Lunch, recess, after school clubs, it's all there. But I could see in his face that he wasn't buying it. Or maybe, more accurately, he was seeing the limitations of my answer. Because what I didn't say in that moment and what I'm realizing now is that we are asking this generation to navigate a world where social connection is increasingly happening online, while simultaneously restricting their access to those spaces during huge chunks of their day. And we're doing it without teaching them how to navigate those spaces well. Here's what Marcus and that teen council taught me. 1, kids can see through our contradictions. If we say technology is important for their future while banning it from their present, they notice. If we use our phones constantly while telling them they can't, they also notice. 2, the phone ban debate isn't really about phones. It's about trust, autonomy, and whether we believe young people can learn to self-regulate with support or whether we think they need to be controlled. 3, I realized that my work teaching digital literacy can't just be about explaining how algorithms work. It has to address these bigger questions. How do we prepare young people to live in a digital world? How do we teach self-regulation instead of just imposing restriction? How do we acknowledge that online socialization is real socialization while also teaching healthy boundaries? And 4, this is the big one. Sometimes experts don't have all the answers. Sometimes a 15-year-old can ask you a question that reveals gaps in your own thinking. And that's what happened to me. I left that interview uncertain if I'd gotten the job with their teens council, but I left with something more valuable. A reminder that the young people that we're trying to teach have insights that we need to hear. Marcus gave me a lot of insight to my work that day, even though he stumped me, or maybe even because he stumped me. So here's my question for you, whether you're a parent, educator, or someone just thinking about this stuff. When we talk about phone bans or limit screen time or digital rules, are we solving the right problem? Are we teaching young people to navigate technology thoughtfully, or are we just removing it and hoping they'll figure it out later? I don't have the perfect answer, but I do think the conversation is worth having. If you're a teen listening to this and you have thoughts on phone bans, I would love to hear from you. Seriously, email me at contactus@bamdigitalmedia.info. And if you're an adult, maybe ask a young person in their life what they think about these policies. You might be surprised by what they say. In our next episode, we're going to get a little woo-woo. We're going to have some digital literacy affirmations that you can practice as an adult, teen, or anyone that uses a phone. You're going to want to tune into this one for sure. I'm Schnelle. Let's get smart with screens.